Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger, and we have yet another installment in our tips and tricks series, this time detailing Doctor Strange. So as always, going to be going over command normals, special moves and super moves. Going to be talking about some of the more unique properties he has with how certain moves interact with each other, and some general game plan stuff. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So let's start with the command normals, and let's start with Impact Palm. It's definitely the most significant of all of them. It is forward and fierce punch. So first off, what makes it significant is it's a crumple state starter. So you see here, Iron Man falls to the ground, and while he's falling to the ground, you're free to do like basically any old combo you want. You can get a combo, maybe if you want to get a little more sassy, you can go into a bit of a setup here. We set up Grace of Hoggoth, or you can really do anything you want, and it's also air-okay. And one quick note about that, actually, as he's falling to the ground, if you're very quick on your fingers, you might have to practice this one a little bit. You can do the Impact Palm, Fly Cancel, as he does have a state of flight, do Air Impact Palm, and then after that, you end your flight manually, land, and do your third Impact Palm, and then finally go into the real crumple state to extend combos. So it looks something like this. Let's try that one more time. There you go. So you see here, that's all naturally chains. As he's not yet quite falling, you do have enough time to manually go to that flight and get that second one, and when you land, get that third one, and then he'll begin the crumple, and it's just a good way to get extra damage at the start of a combo. Now there is a bit more to Impact Palm than what you just saw right there, but I'm actually going to be saving it for another section here later in the video, as it plays and interacts with some other moves. Next up, we have Spirit Circle and Mysterious Slice, and they're two very similar moves. So Spirit Circle is down forward light punch, and he'll do this little slash here. And Mysterious Slice is forward light punch, and he'll move forward a little bit and do that. And Mysterious Slice is also okay in the air. And see here, this one's a bit of an upward arcing angle. So its main use is it has more hit stun than a regular light attack. Not quite as much as a heavy, but it does have as much as a regular light. And if you did see the companion combo video, Mysterious Slice is quite fun. If simply for, it's a really good time stone move. So we can do that and just kind of go Mysterious Slice forever. And that's kind of fun. Like you can hear me, I'm jamming on the buttons pretty big time here. And then you can just go into Impact Palm, then the combo into your free level 3. But that said, it's mostly just combo fodder. You're not going to be tossing this out in neutral or anything, but the extra hit stun is valuable and has merit. So next up we have Illusion. That's forward fierce kick. This guy right here. So this move is a counter move. Now it's not going to quite flip people on their heads or anything. We're just going to show it off real quick. What it does is it switches sides. So if you use Illusion and switch sides on a particularly animation heavy move before they recover, you can absolutely get a punish. But if it's a quick jab or something like that, you're mostly going to be even with them. You're not going to be able to stick out a button freely. So this is only for physical attacks. A projectile, you're just going to get counter hit. The Illusion counter does not work on anything but physical attacks. Now for special moves, let's first talk about Bolt of Ball Effect. That's quarter circle forward, fierce punch. Now this move is fantastic. It's one of the best screen control moves in the game. It's one of the best assist moves in the game. Assist in the meaning of you do it, you tag out your partner, and Doctor Strange is going to be still throwing out an extra bolt of lightning. So on top of that, it's also incredibly high priority, and it basically deletes most other projectiles. The only real consequence of this is A, it's a bit slow to start up, so you're not going to be doing it in people's faces, and it's quite easily duckable, as you can see here. And against some smaller characters like Rocket Raccoon, it's just going to go straight over his head. Now, that aside, it's still a great move, has fantastic screen control, and you're going to be using it a lot. It's like, depending on who your partner is, this is going to be a very common setup where you're just going to do it, tag out immediately, and Doctor Strange is going to cover your approach. And it's going to do a great job at it because, you know, anyone who tries to hit a button or doesn't immediately escape to the top of the screen, they're going to be at the very least held either in block stun or, better case scenario for you, in hit stun, and at which point you'll get a free combo. Next up's a fairly signature move, that's Daggers of the Knack. That's quarter circle forward and kick. So depending on your kick, that's light kick, and this is heavy kick, is how many daggers you summon. So what makes Dagger of the Knack very good is it homes. No matter where you are, it's going to come in on you. So it's Not impossible to get away from by any stretch, but it's certainly somewhat difficult. And the move is also air-okay. So a very common strategy, which he has a teleport, which we'll talk about in a moment later, but you can do dagger to knack, teleport to the other side, and the daggers will hit cross up and cover your approach, making it very safe. Another very key special move is the Eye of Agamotto. That's quarter circle backwards and kick. The light kick version is a landmine basically, so it will explode after a set time, or if an enemy gets too close. The heavy kick version is a multiple hitting projectile. These moves are both air-okay, but keep in mind you can only have one active at a time. So if you have the light kick version out, you cannot get the heavy kick version, and vice versa. Heavy kick's out, you cannot have the light kick version. There is a bit more to it, but I'm going to save that for a later section. So next up we have Mystic Sword and Mystic Sword Shockwave. So that is the Dragon Punch motion and any of your 4 attack buttons. The punch buttons, he does a little swing of his sword here. That's light punch and this is heavy punch. They both have uses. Generally, the light punch version is going to be done earlier in the combo, as you can use that soft launch as you see there. And the heavy punch version is generally your combo ender, as it ends in that wall bounce, at which point you can go directly into a super or tag in your partner to finish your combo for you. The kick versions are more generic projectiles. So that's the light kick version here. It's quite quick too, as you can see. It has a very wide arc as well, and the heavy kick version is more of an anti-air flavor. The next special moves we're going to be talking about are his teleport and his flight. The flight is pretty standard. It's just quarter circle back, both kicks like many characters. The one thing of note of it though is his pass-through box is much higher than most other characters. So if we just do regular flight and we're not going to adjust the angle at all, just going to let it go through here. See here, you can easily pass through characters. And that is also on taller characters like Iron Man as well. See here, I can easily pass through. So that allows for a lot of crazy little mix-up potentials, as you can do a move, cancel it, and just pass through and wind up on the other end. And for someone who's unfamiliar with this, it can really mess people up. And for the teleport, he is simply down, down, and any of the 4 buttons. And each has a different angle. And as you saw there, this move is air-okay. So you can do it in the air, and whatever button you press is a fixed landing point. So say if you do down, down, light kick, it's always going to be in the air. If you do down, down, heavy punch, it's always going to be behind the opponent. So you can work that in the combo. So say you do a standard launcher into a standard knockdown. Normally, you know, he's too far up to follow through, but you can use your heavy punch teleport to be on the other side of the ground. And all of a sudden we're here and we can keep our combo going. Now, for super moves, the first one we have up here is Spell of Vishanti. That's quarter circle forward both punches. And it's one of the better pound for pound supers in the game. The move is a very quick startup. The projectile itself, no matter how high up you are, it's going to hit. Basically goes all the way to the top of the skybox. And there's basically no amount of air dashing or movement that's going to make it miss. Once it starts, you're going to get hit. And in that, it's, you know, it's a very good combo in there to be sure. But it's also one of the best supers just to randomly toss out and fish with. You know, if it missed or gets blocked or whatever, you know, oh well, you know, you're out of bar. But if you caught them hitting any kind of button, you're going to get them. So if you have an excess of bar, it's definitely not one of the worst things to just toss out and fish and see if you get something. 7 Rings of Ragador is a projectile counter super. So in and of itself, it's quarter circle back both punches. It does nothing. Doesn't even have a hitbox, so you can't do anything in people's faces either. But if you were to do it against a projectile, all of a sudden, you're going to get a massive beam back and hit him. So this move is true invincible startup. Even against physical attacks, it can't reflect physical attacks, but it'll still be invincible against them. The one thing to note is it's hurt in the transition from Marvel 3 to Marvel Infinite because of how beams work. If you are unfamiliar, beams do less damage you are the further away. So from this distance here, the damage, you know, it's not the worst, I guess. And it's very good for countering an obvious projectile. But if we were to do it up close, see here, it's significantly more damage. So it is, you know, not directly, like it's not a targeted nerf, but the general system nerf of beams from Marvel 3 to Marvel Infinite, it does unfortunately hit it pretty bad. His level 3 Crimson Bands of Sidorak, quarter circle forward both kicks, is actually one of the better level 3s in my opinion. So, you know, it's invincible startup, and, you know, it does a lot of damage, as all level 3s do. But the range on it's actually quite significant. He does a bit of a charge here, and he will go the whole screen, the length of the screen. Now, the invincibility will not last for him to go the entire length of the screen, but he can definitely catch people from about mid-screen if your reactions are on point. So, next up I'm going to talk about here is Grace of Hoggoth and Flames of the Faltine. So I did not mention them in the special moves section because they're very linked to each other, kind of inextricably, and they need each other. So Flames of the Faltine, quarter-circle forward light punch, and in and of itself it's just a very bog standard fireball. It's nothing, it doesn't even do that much damage. And it is air-okay. But what makes it work is Grace of Hoggoth, which is quarter circle back and light punch or heavy punch. And you see here, it creates a little bit of an orb. And you can have 3 of them on screen at the same time. And now whenever you shoot Flames of the Faltine, it's going to change the arc and change the projectile. So, say we have just one orb here. We're going to just jump up and do Flames of the Faltine. Now see here, it moved backwards to find the Grace of Hoggoth eyeball, and it hit it, and then it bounced off to where Iron Man is. So what makes this work here is it's simply, each one of these is basically considered a bit of a power-up if you want. So the light punch version here, it simply changes directions, and if the flame hits that light punch version Hoggoth eye here, it also acts as a bit of an explosive. The heavy punch version is a bit different, as each consecutive one here, and you can see the colors are different so you can tell which ones are which. For the yellow ones, each consecutive one here changes the fireball. So if it hits 1, the flame comes blue. If it hits 2, it comes purple. And if it hits 3, it comes a giant beam. Now, for these moves here, you can actually kind of mash it, and you see here, it forms a little bit of a pattern. And if you were to mash it one more time, it actually dramatically changes the pattern. So, and this is much the same here with the yellow version. So what happens here is after you get your third one, whatever button you press, and it doesn't matter, it's any of the 4 buttons, each one has a different final arc here. So we're just going to do this, and we're just going to do light punch. We get this arc. If we do heavy punch, we get this, oh, let's try that one more time here. We do heavy punch, here we get this arc, which is now above Iron Man. If we do light kick, we have this grounded arc. And if we do heavy kick, we have kind of scraping the ground arc targeted on your opponent. So, and this is much the same here for the yellow versions. So yeah, see here, that's the whole thing right there. So it can keep going until the third Eye of Hoggoth is hit, no matter what. It's going to keep going. So we can have one over here. We can have one way over here. And we can have one over here. And I botched that a little bit, but see here? There you go. So it does the world tour. So these 2 moves are very much meant to be worked in conjunction with each other. And there's going to be a lot of combos, a lot of things you're going to do, like the Impact Palm with that crumple. You're going to set up the Eyes of Hoggoth on their knockdown, and then you can just go into whatever from there. So I mentioned for both Eye of Agamotto and for Impact Palm how I talk about them both a bit later, and here we are. So the reason I'm talking about them later is because they completely interact with each other. So we're going to set up an Eye of Agamotto here, and Impact Palm, and we send on Sappy Way. So on its own, it can never travel. It's stuck in place, but if you use the Impact Palm, it will send it out. And this is okay for the aerial versions as well. The difference here, the light kick one, the explosive landmine version of Eye of Agamotto, will travel slower. And see here, it's not particularly quick. And the heavy punch version will travel out faster. So one of the things that makes this truly threatening to work with is the fact that you can, like, say we're blue here, we'll tag it out, and we'll switch sides with the teleport. So that just became a quick cross-up that's very hard to block on reaction. Now, if the enemy knows you're going to do it, sure, maybe they'll be able to react. And if you do an orb, and they call you right and hit you out of it, the orb will disappear. So it's not just one of those situations where you get hit and then the orb will hit them on the end anyways and you get a full combo. So that's not going to happen, but you can be quite tricky with it. You can teleport, you can double teleport, you know, or you can tag out. There's a lot of things, and we'll actually talk about that in a bit more. But it's a super handy setup here, and it's a big part of his game. Now, this part of the guide is basically, I want to talk about how Doctor Strange is maybe not the best, you could argue either way, but he's definitely one of the best supports in the game. And by support, I mean simply, he's there to really exemplify the other character you picked. That isn't to say, you don't want to do what you're doing with Doctor Strange, but he can make the other guy really shine because he can really lock people down. So we mentioned before, bolts of ball attack, the big 2 beams here. So you can just toss it out, freely tag out, and you have all the time in the world to see if it hit. You have all the time to see if they blocked, and at which point, you can go for, make them guess overhead low, or switch sides, or so many things. If your character has a command grab, you can actually command grab them in the gap between both the projectiles hitting. It's so powerful, and that's just one aspect here. Oh, we also have daggers of the knack. That's another move. It's great. You just do it, you tag out, and they're going to home in, and they got to block and worry about the character in their face. Because in this situation, unlike the Eye of Agamotto situation from before mentioned, daggers of the knack, if Doctor Strange is hit, they will go away. However, that does not apply to the tagged out partner. If he gets hit, those things are not going away. So he can get hit all he wants, whoever your tagged in partner is. And that's going to be the situation where if you get hit, sure, and then the daggers or the Eye of Agamotto is going to hit them in the head, and then you get to recombo them back for daring to press the button. And we can just really go with a whole hog on the setup here, so we can go daggers to the knack, Eye of Agamotto, and then impact palm it and tag out. So daggers, and then we use impact palm, or rather we use Eye of Agamotto and we can impact palm it. So here, all in sequence, all at once. Oh, let's try that one more time. So you see here, you're filling the screen with a lot of threats. And after that point, say the daggers are keeping them locked down, and then you do your Eye of Agamotto, do it, tag out, and they got so much to worry about. With that in mind, I do think characters that are a bit quicker, like say your Nova or something like that, definitely benefit more from having the Doctor Strange partner than, like, say, a Nemesis would, someone who's big and slow and can't really force high-low mix-ups or anything like that. But he's definitely one of the best facilitators in the game to make whoever you pick as your partner shine, because he can fill this game with so many threats that whoever is you tag out to is going to have, basically, for the most part, the way paved clear for them, and they get their time to shine. And that concludes our video for today. Doctor Strange is quite fun. He's definitely unique when it comes to a lot of characters. His regular movement is very slow. Like, even despite, hovering on the ground, he has no air dash. He's got no real special mobility on the normal sense. But then again, he has crazy teleports. He can kind of be wherever he wants the screen in that regard. And a lot of his setup game is unmatched in this game. With daggers, the knack and Eye of Agamotto, and you impact palm it out for pressure, there's very little people who can put out that same amount of offense for a tag partner to just come and work with. And that's where his greatest strengths lie. But thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it found you well. Go out and play some Marvel.